I, 27M, starts to develop feelings for my wife's cousin, 20F. My wife Julie and I were together for a total of 6 years. We met in college, and everything between us was always great. I loved her deeply, and she loved me. After college, we got married, and I took a position in the big city in our home state. Julie found a job helping to run a daycare, which thrilled her because she loved children. It was her true calling, and she was so excited about the opportunity. She was beautiful inside and out, and was the only girlfriend I ever had. Unfortunately, a little over a year ago, Julie died in a car accident caused by a drunk driver. Her passing devastated me, her family, and my family. It was a terrible time in my life. We had just bought a house together, and suddenly, I was all alone. Around the time we moved, Julie's younger cousin, Cassie, started college in the same city where we lived. Cassie and Julie were very close, and Cassie was one of the bridesmaids at our wedding. I always enjoyed Cassie's company. I met her when she was 16 and I was about 22 or 23. We clicked like old friends, which says a lot about our connection. Over the years, Cassie would visit us, and we'd always have a great time. During those visits, Julie would joke about how similar Cassie and I were. We shared the same sense of humor, the same interests, and even watched the same shows. Julie would jokingly say that if anything ever happened to her, I should start dating Cassie. Of course, she wasn't serious, and I loved Julie wholeheartedly. After Julie passed away, I started hanging out with Cassie more often because she was the only family I had nearby. We grieved together, and our friendship grew stronger over the past year. Cassie became my best friend, and I became hers. She even has a key to my house, and we've been there for each other during tough times, like my wife's death and Cassie's breakup with her boyfriend. About a month ago, Cassie called and asked if I could pick her up from a party, and I, of course, obliged. I loved my wife so much that I hadn't looked at other women since she passed away, let alone her own cousin. But when I pulled up and Cassie stepped out of the house, I looked at her and thought, damn, she looked gorgeous. To be honest, there isn't an unattractive girl in that entire family. Julie was beautiful, tall, with blonde hair, big bright brown eyes, a huge smile, long legs, and a great figure. Cassie is just as pretty, with auburn hair, blue eyes, and a petite yet curvy figure. It was apparent from a young age that Cassie was going to be a knockout. This was the first time in a long time that I saw any woman in that light. It's hard to describe the feeling I got. It was a weird mixture of attraction, guilt, and butterflies. The first word out of my mouth was wow when she got in the car. She laughed and thanked me for picking her up. She asked if she could crash at my house because it was closer, and she was exhausted and a little tipsy. She has slept there before, and the guest bed is practically hers. When we got back to the house, she gave me a big hug and a kiss on the mouth cheek area. She caught both, and I don't know what that means, and said, "Thank you so much, I love you." She giggled, gave me a look I hadn't seen since my wife, and went into the spare bedroom. I went into my bedroom, got into bed, and stared at the ceiling for hours. Every emotion you can imagine went through my head. Sadness, anger, happiness, guilt, excitement, and confusion. I've never been so bewildered in my life. Over the next few weeks, I noticed how flirty Cassie was with me. I don't know if this has been going on for a while, but looking back, I guess it has. She makes physical contact with me when she talks, she giggles at everything I say, she hugs me a lot, and we even go out to dinner just the two of us. One night, while we were watching a movie on Netflix, she fell asleep in my lap. That same night, she was telling me about how this one guy keeps hitting on her, but she has her sights set on another guy she isn't sure likes her back. Am I that guy? It's been so long since I've dated anyone, so I'm rusty at picking up signs. Then again, my wife always told me I was oblivious whenever a woman would hit on me, so maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it almost feels like I'm dating her without realizing it. Am I interpreting this wrong? I'm pretty illiterate when it comes to women, and I don't know if I'm projecting my own desires onto her behavior. If I'm wrong, I don't want to ruin our friendship because, honestly, our relationship is one of the best things I have going on right now. But if I'm right, where does this lead? There could be many issues if we made it official and started to date. I want to move on, and my wife would want that too, but I'm not sure if it should be with my deceased wife's cousin. She was in our wedding, for Christ's sake. I know her family already, and we get along well enough, but I haven't seen them for months due to my wife's passing. What would they think? What would my family think? Is it weird? She's much younger than me, and we are at completely different stages in life. Would it even work out? If she shares these feelings, does she feel guilty? Should I feel guilty? Does it seem like I'm cheating on my wife with her cousin? My mind is all over the place, and I don't know what to do. Update. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. I took the advice of everyone and really sat down and thought about what I wanted. Do I just want a new relationship, or do I want a new relationship with Cassie? I came to the conclusion that I just didn't know if I could tell the difference between the two at the time. What I did know is that I didn't know, if that makes sense to anyone. On the one hand, I'm ready to move forward with my life, and I want to be happy again. But on the other hand, is that feeling of wanting to move on just me projecting my wants onto Cassie? Or is my growing relationship with Cassie what is making me want to move on? The weekend after I made my post, I had some friends over, Cassie included, and we had a fun night of college football and Cards Against Humanity. The whole night Cassie was by my side, and at one point later in the evening when everyone was getting tired, she rested her head on my shoulder. I got the weird butterfly feeling in my stomach again. Everyone eventually left except for Cassie, who stayed longer to hang out a bit more and help clean up. We ended up talking for a while about everything and nothing, and eventually the topic of the night I picked her up from that party came up. I mentioned how she looked gorgeous and how every guy there must have been all over her. She told me how they were just horny boys, then joked about the situation, saying that she just shooed them all away if they tried to flirt with her. That's when I asked her, "Cassie, have you been flirting with me the last few months?" I know. Great segue. She looked taken aback and a bit surprised and gave me a half-hearted response of, "What?" Almost like I caught her in the act of doing something wrong. I pressed further, and she eventually admitted that she had indeed been flirting with me and that she had started to develop feelings for me. We proceeded to have a very open discussion about our relationship, our feelings, and our concerns. I told her that I don't know what I want right now, but I'm ready to be happy again. I explained how confused I was about the entire thing. I told her my concerns over jumping into a relationship with her specifically because of her age and her relationship to my wife. Then I got to hear her point of view. I found out she always thought I was cute, ever since I met her when she was 16, but there was never an attraction to me because I was dating her cousin and I was so much older. Over the course of this past year and some change, she has grown to enjoy my company quite a bit and has gone through the same confused emotions that I spoke about in my last post in regards to my wife, her cousin. She gave it a lot of thought and came to the conclusion that Julie would want me happy and she would want me with someone she trusted to take care of me. She wasn't sure if I was ready to move forward with anything, so she started flirting innocently with me a few months ago to test the waters. I was oblivious. She continued to flirt with me until that night I picked her up. With her inhibitions lowered, she threw caution to the wind and made a move with the kiss. She told me that she couldn't sleep that night due to excitement, embarrassment, and wondering if I got the hint. I told her I finally got it loud and clear and she laughed at that. I reiterated that I was still confused about everything and that I needed some time to come to grips with my emotions before I can do anything else. She completely understood and told me that she would respect my decision whatever it may be. I didn't see Cassie the next week due to her classes and her respecting the fact that I needed some space to think some stuff out on my own. We did text, but it was nothing of any real importance, just plans for the coming weekend. I mentioned in the last thread that her 21st birthday was coming up, and it happened to be this weekend, the 12th to be specific. Cassie being the low-maintenance girl that she has just wanted to have a barbecue with her friends. We had it at my house because I had already promised her weeks ago under the guidelines of no drinking and driving by anyone who came. Her friends showed up, some of my friends showed up, and her parents even came down to celebrate. It was pretty neat seeing them because I haven't seen them in a while, and I always got along great with her father. We have the same sense of humor, and it's the same sense of humor that Cassie has too. I always enjoyed going over to my wife's family's events when he was there because he was someone I could relate to and talk to without feeling too uncomfortable. After a while, all the young'uns were in my backyard having a good time playing beer pong and cornhole, so I sat down with Cassie's father to have a beer and chat to see how things were going. There was a bunch of small talk, and he asked how Cassie was doing in the city because he knows we hang out a lot. I told him she was staying out of trouble, doing well in school, and an all-around joy to have as company. Then he asked how Cassie and I were doing. This puzzled me. Welp, apparently Cassie had sought the advice of her parents in this whole thing. She has a great relationship with them, so I'm not surprised she asked for some advice, but I was surprised that she spoke with them about me specifically instead of using hypotheticals. What followed was a very good, in-depth conversation with her father. It turns out that they like me a lot and don't care one way or the other. They basically told Cassie to do what she felt was right, and they'd support her either way. They know me, and they know how well I treated their niece. They had voiced their two obvious concerns, age and my wife being her cousin, but said that I was a good guy and she could do a lot worse. If it was something that we both wanted, then they would support it. The gist of what he told me was, stop worrying about what everyone else thinks and just be happy. You've been through a lot, probably more than anyone your age should go through, but you deserve to be happy too. If you are worried about what I or her mother think, don't be, because honestly, we just want our daughter to be happy. If you make her happy, then we support it. After that conversation, it was like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I didn't realize how much anxiety I had over her family's approval, but it was apparently quite substantial, probably the thing that was weighing on me the most, and I didn't even realize it. I thanked her father. They said their goodbyes to Cassie and left soon after. I can honestly say that I had a great time the rest of the party. Cassie, of course, enjoyed her 21st birthday like anyone would. She didn't drink to excess, but was definitely drunk. I let what seemed like a good half of the party spend the night, just so they wouldn't drive, Cassie included. Around 1 in the morning, I carried her up the stairs into the spare bedroom, but it was occupied by my buddy, so I took her to my room and put her to sleep. I went downstairs and hung out with the other remaining night owls until I fell asleep on the couch around 3. I woke up Saturday around noon to the smell of bacon. Cassie was cooking breakfast for the couple people that were still there. Apparently, many of them woke up early to go tailgate for their school's football game. I am not 21 anymore. I cannot do that after the night we just had. When I walked into the kitchen, Cassie gave me a big lingering hug and thanked me for everything. After breakfast, the remaining people that were still there left to try to get some tailgating in before the game as well. I went around the house looking for stuff to clean, but apparently Cassie had gotten to it this morning with her friends as a sort of thank you for allowing the party to happen. Cassie is a sweetheart. The rest of the afternoon was Cassie and I hanging out watching TV on my couch together. Eventually, I found the balls to bring up the topic we had discussed from the week before. I laid it all out right then. I told her, I think I know what I want now. I want to be happy again. I don't know if I'm ready to jump in head first, but I can tell you that I sure as hell enjoy your company, and you are the person that makes me the happiest. So if you are willing to take things slowly, I would like to give it a try. She had the biggest grin on her face, and she leapt forward and gave me a big hug. When I embraced her in return, I had the same feeling in my gut from the week before. I felt dizzy in a good way, and I didn't want to let go of her. We cuddled, something I haven't done in over a year. Christ, did I miss it? And watched TV the rest of the night. We ate Mexican for dinner, and that night before I went to bed, she gave me a kiss on the cheek. She respected my boundaries and volunteered to sleep in the guest room. Sunday was spent watching football, cuddling, playing with my dog, and a dinner that Cassie made. I never really realized how much I missed the intimacy of contact with someone until Cassie started to cuddle up on me this weekend. When she laid her legs over mine on the couch, I damn near fainted from the excitement. I forgot what it felt like when someone you have a thing for cuddles up next to you. It might be kind of sad to admit, but it was a real head rush. We are happy and taking everything slow, and we'll see where the life will take us. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.